from Bahalana, okay? So the first one is, where are we striking? We're hitting the temple. That's angle 1. Angle 2 is the other temple. Angle 3 is going to be that hip or elbow from the open side. From the closed side, that's number 4, right? Same, and we're drawing back for a center shot, number 5, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when I see you guys take the test, I want you in a ready position. I want to see good stance, good intention on the tip, and intention. If I see like there's my 1 and then my 2's kind of like that, then I feel that you really don't have it. I want to see mentally like, oh, he's targeting a particular area. Bahalana, 5-strike pattern. Okay. The other pattern we want to know is the LEVEL system. That's 12 strikes. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, one more time. That's a head shot. It's a knee shot. Coming around, hitting the other knee. Head shot. Center line. Elbow. Elbow. Thrust. Rotate. Strike the collarbone. Thrust. Strike the collarbone. That's 11, and then down the middle. Okay, you can do 2 on there, even though it is you kind of consider that double strike, you're number 12. Okay, so it's acceptable to do 1 strike or the 2. Okay, so that's the LEVEL system, right? Your jab is the number 1. So if I say feet are number 1, feet are number 2, what am I talking about? Jab cross. Okay. Let's see, better angle. This way, here, stand here. So from a feeding standpoint, my 1's gonna be here. I wanna see, I'm just like, show me number 1, right? How are you doing that? Are you just doing here? There's no stepping, there's no turning, there's no slipping. Same thing on the cross. I don't wanna see like, right? I want to see you take that step. I want to see good defense. If I get that twist in, right, I'm turning my punches. Okay, so if the 1-2 comes in, when I'm talking about slipping, my hands are going to be in some type of ready position. So let me just go over the ready positions, right? So I can use my strong side here next to my face. I call it being on the phone, right? Use this as a front shield, right? My windshield wiper. I might do a single with my hand high, big nose, so throw a jab cross. So all I'm doing is this big nose, right? I can do with 2, but when I'm slipping, I keep my hands ready. He throws the jab cross, whatever, right? So I'm looking to roll that shoulder and time that. So as he's throwing it straight in, I want to slip, right? I see the other shot coming. Now, if I'm short and I can't do that, that's why it's important for me to know these other techniques, right? So the first one is going to be that slip. Slip to the right, slip to the left. Then we're going to do a catch. So we can catch with the front or the rear hand. Typically, just my style, I like to catch with the backhand. So jab cross, jab cross. So he's throwing the shot. I could, for whatever reason, could be slipping. Maybe I tried to go low, my hand's high. This is my pickup hand, right? So I'm keeping my core tight, I'm not standing up erect like this. I always like to have my shoulder high, my chin down, because if I miss it, I can take that roll, right? But the ideal scenario is we're moving around, he's throwing blows. Yeah, I can, and start throwing my parries. So the first one was a slip. Second one was a catch, right? The third one is going to be the parry. I can parry with my throw of whatever shot. That's me slicing it. Okay, so what are you noticing here? My hips turning, my heels turning. Because if I can take that step and then start working different angles, great. But I'm getting off the X. And that's the biggest thing. If you can't catch those, don't be there. Okay, that's why we're going to talk about the workflow later. But doing that parry, where I can parry with my lead hand or rear hand on the outside or on the inside, right? What was the next one? Step back, duck. Yeah, so duck, I'm here, the guy's throwing punches, and that's all I'm really doing. I'm getting down out of the way of the punch. Now, we might be moving around. He throws some funky punch. I'm not ready for it, right? That's me getting down. I'm like, okay. If I see something coming, it might turn into a bob and weave. The back step, yeah, easy. He's advancing. Yeah, I'm just making more distance. He's got to chase me down. So if I have that opportunity, a lot of times it'll turn into me backstepping. So you see what's step and slide. And then I have more time to see what's going on. Then I can guard and I step and slide and I crash that. So now I can get into my position, start throwing different responses to the assault, okay? So we had slip, we had catch, we had parry, we had duck, we had step back, and I think the other one was bob and weave. So the bob and weave is, I don't want to see people bowing. It should start always be on the balls of your feet, not flat-footed, right? Because you still want to be able to adjust. But you're making this combination of a slip into a duck. Something else is coming and you're rolling this shoulder in. So whether you roll, come up and close, or take a step, that's up to you. But the idea is jab cross, just throw them out there, yeah. Right. So I'm looking for that combination. Again. Right? I'm inside. Okay? So that's the, what do we call that? Bob and weave. We're going to do off of angle 1. So the feed's going to be like this. So when we do a formal feed, I want you guys to have your stick in your dominant hand, preferably the right hand, and your hand open side in front of your weapon, right? And I'm going to say, this is going to be a formal feed, prepare for an angle 1. And the person who's feeding is going to step back with the right foot, and the stick is going to rotate up and their hand's going to rotate up. So it's going to look like this. Okay? So this is how we're going to deliver so we can prepare somebody for, okay, angle 1, right? So they're going to know. And we want to see the technique to defend ourselves against that as a formal, okay, how do I do an inside block? How do I do an outside block? How do I do a retreat? Okay? So prepare for number 1. Ready? Strike. On the strike, the person's going to step in and do that first angle that we showed in the Bahana system, right? Going to go to that temple. So again, I'm going to be here. Okay? Prepare for number 1. Ready? Strike. And you're going to do that strike. The other person's going to respond by doing the block. 3 blocks I want you to know. Okay. Okay, prepare for number 1. So you're going to be standing, you're ready here. I'm going to say ready, you're going to step back. Okay? And when you say, okay, so here, stick the center line out at a 45. And typically we'll have a knife. I don't want to confuse you guys, so we're just going to have the hand like this, right? This is coming out. I'm chambering it and feeding the number 1, okay? So the first one we are going to do is an inside block. So as I'm ready for this, I'm in my stance. I can be in a right foot lead. I can be in a left foot lead. Typically, I'm going to be in this neutral stance, okay? Prayer for number 1. Ready? Strike. So here, So look at the intention there, right? It's closed in. His strike should have been more like this instead of here. So if I'm feeding, I'm making it big and I'm looking to, so range me. Step back, prepare for number one, and just don't full on hit me. Just touch me right there where you're trying to hit. Okay, if you feel like it's too much or too little, move forward and go, okay, this is the distance I want to be at. Okay, so if we need to range them in the beginning of the test, we can do that. So from there, I'm going to step in, and my inside block is pretty much like I'm punching, but I want to get this check hand to stop that hand, okay? So in combative mode, I could strike straight to the hand, right? Punch out and hit it and sweep it. For intents and purposes here, I'm at a longer distance. He's striking the number one, and I'm getting my stop, striking through, and holding the hand with that C clamp, right? If I catch it here, great. If I catch it here, that's fine, but control it with the check hand. As you're doing that, you're gonna feed, what number is this? Number 4, right? So it's gonna be the inside block to a 4. You're gonna pull down, saboy, vertical. So get your distance, right? That's your response. Nuts, chin, forehead, all the way down. I wanna see 3 or 4 of these, right? Okay, and return. So that is your inside block, okay? The outside block is the same thing. Instead of me advancing with my right lead and checking, I'm gonna be advancing and hitting a 2 to the arm. Okay, so not to the head, but I'm using that number 2 angle. So if he comes, pair for number 1, pair for number 1, ready, okay, strike. So that's my outside block, right? As an outside block, I monitor, stay contact, and I get this C clamp, right? So as I'm here, I can either strike face or head, but if I'm hitting here, that's an X, see the X? So it's a 1 and a 2. Right? You okay? Yeah, I can feel it, light touch. Right? But watch, see how the stick is always in this chambered ready position? So as I'm hitting, this is a mean hit on the bone. So even if he comes back towards me, that check hand has to be good. This prevents him, he just took a hit, right? Now I'm coming across, he's coming back, I hit him again, and then I check it, right? But me continually pounding on this elbow, the funny bone, this forearm, and getting my hits, but you know, then I can really start doing some damage because I just took out that weapon. He's not gonna be able to have it. He'll probably drop what he had, right? So that's on the outside. So the largo mano retreat can be, it's based on distance, okay, from this side. I can drop back or I can step forward, depending on your perspective. But what's gonna happen is if he's striking the number 1, I can go ahead, strike number 1. Right, I'm here. I'm passing, doing an outside pass. So let's say I'm in close, he raises up. So again, he's coming in hard. Yeah, it's about me grabbing and catching this. Whether I'm moving back, right? Allows me to suck him in, I can do strips here. Or I'm advancing, push this in his face, beat him down with that, hit the stick, give me all kinds of fancy stuff I can do after the fact, okay? But this is your key hand, okay? So whether it's a, grab one of these, because we're gonna do knife passes and this is one of them.
340.
So he's gonna slash, gauge me, right there, okay? I can step backwards, right? And even if I lose it, bam! It's my basic hits. If I'm here, great. Here, do an upward 8, a downward 8, saboy, vertical, taga, all the bis, right? Very basic strike. But I'm looking at taking out the closest thing to me. If I can get those hands and finger hits, knock the blade out, better for me. Gotta get it out, I kick it, reassess. You still trying to get me? Okay, puño time, right? So again, gauge. Right, so that one, I'm close, right? I felt better stepping back naturally. Bam, bam, right? Crank them up, okay? Good. So keep the knife. We have knife next. Okay, so that was 3. Inside block, right? Outside block, and larger amount of retreat, or in advance, okay?
That's when they're in close.
That's when they're in close.
Okay.
Yeah. And it depends, like let's say the wall is here. He's coming from this side. I'm coming around the corner, I don't see him. He wanted to break into a place that, oh, security's here, right? So he can't really attack from the 2-angle side. Everything is from the 1-angle side. So my ability to read, is it a high line or a low line attack, tells me how I'm gonna respond. So if I'm gonna respond with a, what's the first one on my list?
Outside vertical gun. Vertical gun.
Okay, so the outside vertical gun team, engage me. Okay, that's using that pass, but involving that support hand. So it could be as simple as me passing. Yeah, I'm like, whoa, I'm calling the cops right now, right? If that's not an option, because let's say there's a car in front of you, something's impeding your retreat, right? So we're gonna either be approaching this from the outside position or the inside position, right? If we're dealing from the inside position, we're doing this inside pass and pushing it down and away into him. Because if we just do the hit this way, slice through, he's gonna get me. So this has to be a massive hard hit into him, right? And you gotta be sensitive enough to where is his hand? Is he trying to throw another punch? So there's a lot of things, but the basic idea is stop this deadly threat, right? So we had inside, a vertical guillotine.
Pass and return.
The pass and return is gonna be using the outside vertical guillotine, but I'm staying in contact and pulling it, returning it into him. Okay, so again, I'm here. So it doesn't have to be there, it could be here, it could be up in his armpit, right? I could strip, right? Throw it, get my cuffs, start working them, okay, you know? So all the different things we can do that allow us to maintain control, right? So again, this outside pass can work with a blunt weapon, a bat, a golf club, anything, but what angle is this?
1,
Okay, if he goes low, what angle is that?
3,
That's a 3, right? If he comes straight in,
5.
okay, so on the 3, he's coming here, right? It's not on the high line, right? It's on the low line. So he's coming with the 3, my outside wrist lock. He's thrusting with the 5, I get my center line out of the way. Okay, but the movement is me getting off the X, getting out of the line of attack, maintaining that pressure. Because he could be quick. I could go here and he automatically goes to the low line. So if he's here like that, right? So if I go like this, you see how that happens? But the difference is me maintaining that contact. I've got to be sensitive enough to feel which way he's going. He might not go this way. He might come up. That's where remember those hits are?
Yeah.
So he might do this, he might do this. Now it's on the high line, but it's the same angle. It's just coming at a different, I guess, perspective to you. So you're thinking, oh, I gotta have all these other skills. No, the fundamental stuff I'm showing you,
It's universal.
you can defend yourself against so many attacks, okay? So the outside vertical gunting is good for an escape. I'm out of here. Key thing I want to see is maintaining contact. Make yourself safe, because we're 0, 1, 2, 3. What's the best position? So we're always trying to work where? To the back, right? So this allows us that opportunity, right? If for whatever reason he's moving, then I can stay and keep control. I can stay and keep control on the high line, right? So there's lots of different ways for me to choose how I want to do it, right? This could be from, it's the same position. I'm just, what's the difference between this and this? I just had that one move, and I took it away. But if the guy's coming through, I'm in my cradle lock. I can strip it, right? He gets rid of it, bing. What's this lock? The come along, right? Right? But you guys are starting to see the relationship between all these techniques. So the more you understand the fundamentals, the easier it is to do all these other. Having options gives you an opportunity to deal with more complex, more aggressive people. Okay? Because they might do something unorthodox. Most of the people in general, they're going to be in shock. Because they're trying to put you in shock, and hopefully they're like, oh my God, what do I do? But if you get them on the defensive, then your chances of survival go way up, okay? The inside pass. This is the one we were doing in the inside pass. So we had the outside vertical gunting, then it's an outside vertical gunting with return to sender, either on the low line. On the low line, you bring it to your hand here, or you can use your forearm. However, on the high line, you're just moving your hand down. Shoving it back in his face. This is your pivot point. So I could be here, I could go here, make him strip that way. But it's still the outside vertical gunting with that initial pass, right? Where the inside, you're coming in and cutting off that angle. You want to have your forearm on the outside. I don't want to give him veins to cut, slice right. You can take and survive cuts here. On the inside, where the brachial nerve goes, you're going to have a problem. You're going to bleed out, okay? So when you do this hit, it's down and away into him, right? And that might alone, I could check him and just get out, get off the X and run. If I don't have that option, then I'm going to be looking at controlling. The disarm is going to be incidental because you've got about a second to pull this off. So if you're lucky and you have just all the little finesse steps, the angles, it'll find itself. Because what happens when your body responds to an uncomfortable position? Do you adjust or you just let it happen and you try to adjust? So this is a natural flow. That's why knowing a chain of a reaction in how can I get out of this and understanding counters and where they can come from is important, because you'll get a sense of which direction the guy is going and then what options are available to you, okay? If somebody's using feet and kicking, an overhook and an underhook doesn't change. Give me your foot. So this is a what? Underhook. No. Over. I'm over, right? But this is a underhook, right? So me manipulating his leg like an arm, see what happens to his body? Yeah? It's the same thing where if I get to the point where he's disarmed and we're pummeling and I have this overhook, me pulling his head or his body or his elbow positions him. I don't want to try and fight his core. These are my manipulation points where the joints are. Okay? That's how all these locks are had. So any place where the body's bending, you manipulate two in the direction at the same time. It's a lock. Okay? So, review those just very simply. A lot of times it's just this movement here, whether it's right or left. So typically when I'm fighting, if I find the opportunity to get that support, it's really two. He can throw the hook, overhand. I'm ready because I have this. It's setting up my wraps, my under, my over. And I know once I have those opposing forces, I'm going to be able to manipulate somebody's body. Does that make sense? Okay.
350.
What's the next one? Okay, so we went over the Illustrissimo, and this is a great introduction because off the bladed side. So we have the inside wrist lock. So if we did that pushing down and away, I'm going to pass it with my rear hand and feed it up to my left hand. Come in. Let's take a look at this. So my forefingers want to control the meaty part of the thumb. My thumb is going to push in that direction. Typically, I like to push on these digits here, right? So I can push outside and down, right? So that direction is where he's going to go. I can use my forearm. I can use my hand. I can add a step. I can do all kinds of things to really manipulate him. So that's an angle 1. That's an angle 2, right? 3, 4, and there's my 5, right? So all those angles help us understand the relationship between how the assault is coming towards us. But that's the outside, right? The inside typically is used out to feed the angle 1. See how I'm rotating it from the inside? And then it's inverted. So I could be here. That failed. He tries to get out and go this way. Okay? But you'll notice that I always maintain some type of positive control. My hand is continually keeping track. Because if he decides to come in or pull away, I have that because I want to maintain how well that lock is on him. You guys seeing that? Okay. So the inside, it's the outside. The inside rotates, right? Then we do the cradle. The cradle maintains the opposite side control. This hand goes over and swims under the shoulder. This arm could be straight, it could be bent, or I could do it in such a fashion that I get the wrist lock too. So I tend to catch this in the stick fighting realm because the arms are more extended. So if for whatever reason the guy's coming in and I get that move right there, oh, I didn't get it, he's trying to get it. Just right there, right? If I hold it, that's still my cradle lock. Let's say it snaps and he drops it. I feel like he could get out through here, right? I'm gonna get positive control either here on the delt or here. See that? I'm driving. I let it feed right into my hand. See, I keep the pressure and I lift up. So that's one you're gonna catch. It's gonna be very, very fast because he's basically trying to escape, okay? If I don't have control, swing your arm out of it. Yeah, you see that? So that could happen anywhere in here. I could be here, he's, oh, right. The hammer lock, right? Okay, so what's next after that? Oh, what did we do? We did 1, we did 2, we did 3, we did 4, and then I think I put straight arm bar.
Come along, right?
This is the come along.
Yeah, so
Okay.
now you have vertical gooseneck.
Oh, okay, so the vertical gooseneck is you're reaching under. He's walking that way to get away. See how my hand feeds? So this is the gooseneck. Right? Yeah, because it turns into all these other ones, right? So that's how the flow goes. But from here, they're trying to wriggle out of, yeah, so I missed this. He walks forward to release, yeah. So now I start lifting. He runs that way, and I get it above him, right? So I'm chasing the energy. Why? Because I want to feel and understand what position does that arm need to be into a lock. And once again, I'm not forcing and fighting to get this lock. This is going to happen between, things are moving fast, and if you know where they're at, you're going to catch it in an instant. And if you didn't catch it, oh well, back to a different game. You got to know how to switch gears. But knowing these fundamental locks helps you get into a lot of good arrest positions if we are ever assaulted and we need to go there. Okay? So that was 5? And that was 5 from the Illustrissimo 20 count lock flow, standing lock flow. Okay, good. What was next?
Wrist grab escape.
Okay. So you got same side and on this side. You got opposite side, and then you have body grabs. So from the wrist grab, just grab whatever. Okay, so here he's not grabbing a wrist, but that's okay. He grabs me physically. What we're going to do is get 2-on-1. Okay, so I definitely want to see the 2-on-1. I'm going to take the step back that draws him in, and as you do that, 2 things are happening. I'm dropping, and I'm lifting up off of him. Okay. From there, one of my favorite things to do, because it has to do with arm control and arm drag, is get onto this Russian 2-on-1, because it turns into this arm lock, right? And then I can rotate them, do all kinds of trips, throws, good setup, okay? But again, me positioning, having it, the fundamental thing is getting them off balance, switching my body, dropping my weight, getting hands on it. So if I can make all that happen at one time, it's already tough for me. Just take the step back, twist that way, and then double arm grab here. So back with that leg, twist my arm the other way. Yeah, see how I can't hang on? That's already a wrist lock right there. So if he comes back into me, so keep the wrist like this against your chest. Yeah, you see that? So that's just a counter off of that move. I got it, he didn't get it, I'm gonna hold him. Yeah. So now it turns into this standing inverted wrist lock, right? So that's the 2-on-1. Same side grip, just one. You'll run into that. It's either gonna be an over, circle, or an under, okay? So, but looking at the angle, I want to get that wrist high and regain my control, okay? So that crescent shape, either clockwise or counterclockwise, is going to work, okay? There's other ones. Oh, okay, good. So again, we can choose to grab and then throw our elbow over. Turn this into a straight arm bar. Go into our figure 4, right? So these locks are gonna set up even more definitive type of controlling positions. So it's gonna be circle to the counterclockwise, circle clockwise. On the opposite side grab, so here it was left against right, right? So now we got a right on a right. So the same thing can work, but I do want to show you, other than the circle this way and circle that way, is the grab. So you see how this is turning into a lock? If he wants to maintain that, this is the same thing as that gooseneck position. Do you see that? I'm just forcing him because okay, you want to grab me, then I'm putting it into him, okay? So as we start to manipulate that, guess what? We're back into this series again. Right? Do you see? Well, it looks like a lot of material, but really, if you keep it to the, where am I, inside or outside? Okay, which direction am I flowing in? Am I doing a counterclockwise move or a clockwise move? Because the body only goes so many. I just have a lot of different options, so I apologize if I confuse you with the extra foo-foo. Just trying to keep it so you guys can see the possibility of all the variations that can go on here. I think it's important to know, because there's guys a lot more skilled with the handset, and hopefully my ground game, my wrestling, my pummeling throws them off where I could get back to. And then you got guys who, they're great wrestlers. Everybody trains jiu-jitsu these days. They're not going to sit here and dance around with this. They're going to try and shoot in on you and grab a hold of you. And so if the guy's trying to do some choke and he's trying to do some collar, knowing these kinds of locks, it's competition. They don't do those things. No. But, it's just a small wrap of just this guy basing up on you to break your guard, you putting that in and just, that's the lock. Yeah, they're gonna be going, what? And then they're not training it every day. The rest of, oh, he's gonna use X guard and he's gonna pull, mission control and all these complicated things. And okay, finger lock. Okay, guys, I guess that went down the drain, right? But that's the street. Particularly, I don't recommend getting down in the street jiu-jitsu style. If you gotta bang it out, the bang it out is just the tenderizing to get into a better position, to get behind them, either choke them out, get them on the ground where you got some kind of control where your body weight is on him. Now, you're going to have a hard time if a guy's good at jiu-jitsu and wrestling and all that. They're squirrely. And if you start seeing that, you don't need to sit there and engage. You're like, okay, his skill set's way better than mine, right? Reassess. You don't need to bang it out. You're banging it out because of necessity, right? And so hopefully the skills that we're sharing, you guys can work them to a level of competency and survive.
Most of those guys that are doing jiu-jitsu, though, they're not really trying to start shit.
No, there's a whole competitive, and I love it. I love the competition of it. But, the segregation, there's lots of different philosophies, and I discuss this with different people all the time, and it really depends on your whole game plan. It's like your approach will lead you to the path you're going to go to. So if you know your game, you'll develop the skills that's best for your game, because there's a lot bigger, stronger guys out there. And, some of those moves, if you don't have them down to an intricate level, you're not going to be able to manipulate a 300-pound crazy Samoan, right? Yeah, so, yeah.
Even the skinny fucking 100-pound Samoans are strong.
Yeah, no, just there's these little bulldogs, And, back in the day, I was hanging around with a bunch of Samoans, man. We would train and bang it out, and I'd be like surprised. But, I would be able to get them off balance, offset them where they weren't ready and couldn't tense up, and I would get a little lock in the right place. I'm like, okay. Because to me, that would be like, I can't beat this guy to death. I need an opportunity to get off the X. I'm out of here. Why? Because he's got cousins and brothers and sisters that are twice as big. So I don't need to be here, right? Okay, next. Okay, well, the food's getting cold. Yeah, but the timing. Well, we got, 2 hours before we got to be at that thing? Yeah?
I think that's 6.
Okay. All right, so what's next?
Okay, we did vertical elbow.
The what?
The vertical elbow. That's
The lock?
the 3 wrist grab lock. Escapes, the vertical.
Oh, okay. I was like, which one are we on? So it doesn't matter if it's same side or opposite side. I can go vertical elbow inside or outside, but what I mean by that is my elbow's gonna go up, whether it's on the inside or outside. So get a hold on there.
Hold it.
Right?
Try.
So if he's got 2 hands, right, that's okay because some guys have real strong kung fu grip. That's okay. I can still get my elbow up, get my lock, get my arm bar. But just me, see? But think about not pulling back so much, but bringing that elbow up, because this will naturally cant back. So when I'm doing it, I'm really aiming my elbow at your chin. Yeah, just bust my knuckle right there. Yeah, that was perfect. Yeah, I had a good grip on there. You're just like, hey, easy, right? What are you doing, dude? If you're lucky, you can step on a foot and then get him, get him in the jaw. Ping, ping, ping. I say, hey, what's going on? Calm down. Right? Looks good on camera, right? Did you see that security guy? He's badass. Yeah, don't fuck around over there. Yeah, right. Boom. Next.
Okay, so using any of the 3 systems, Shotokan, Jiu-Jitsu, or catch wrestling, demo a double wrist lock kimura.
Okay, so you remember what the double wrist lock again is this position here. So they call it kimura, right? So there's different, but this is your standard wrestling double wrist lock. Why? Because you're holding 2 wrists, right? So whether it's an inside pass, an outside pass, you're pummeling. Even if I'm pummeling this way, we're wrestling, I got to overhook and underhook, right? So here we're doing this dance. I'm able to get to that. Because why? I understand that I've got to have one arm over the top by his shoulder. The other hand has to control his wrist, and I'm going to grab my own wrist. The key concepts here are, because he could be driving into me, is lifting up, and when I'm tweaking it, the lock comes from this angle. See, this doesn't hurt. He's got room to run. Whereas, get in front of the camera, if his shoulder's isolated and I have this good aggressive position, that is already tense. So now you add your body weight on it, pulling up with both arms. Even a big, strong guy who, let's say, he wants to counter you and bear hug you and try and lift you. In that case, you know, oh, I'm going to go for a trip. I'm looking at tearing this shoulder and having it face rotate all this way, because I'm breaking something. I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to be put down. I'm going to have a 200-plus pound guy land on me. I want this thing out of commission. Why? Because once he's done, I can just get it off me and be like, okay, I went for a ride, right? But just think whether I'm on the inside, how would I get to it from here? What's the first thing I would have to do? I already have one wrist controlled, right? Well, that's a Americana, or the V. We're looking at having the wrist down and the shoulder up. So I could catch it going into my outside, because this is the inside, right? He starts to pull away. Just a little adjustment, okay? We also went from here, right here, right? If he's coming back into me, I just got to understand I have to switch arms. I'm pulling him into position. If he decides to run at me and tackle me like you're going to get double. See how he's feeding me that? I can strip it, reach. So for wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys who shoot in and want to take your legs out, want to grab your hips, do a body wrap, if I can make some space, right? He's still trying to hang on. I'm just looking to get in that turn, because now I know I can lean on him and get the wrist. And then I start lifting, right? So right or left side, doesn't matter. But typically you'll see that with a lot of shoot guys going in for doubles, heads on the outside, whatever hip is forward, that's where you're positioning your double arm lock. So if I'm fighting out of this position, he's in a different lead and he shoots in, his head's to the outside, now I'm working this side. And there's a lot of good throws you can do from here. Catch him over that way, throw him that way, spin, and then I can turn that same lock into an omoplata. I would just replace my leg as the over, and I'd be in this position. But it's the same mechanics, that lock. Why? Because the body doesn't manipulate any differently. You just got to understand how to approach it from, whatever position you're in, okay? You guys understand that? Yeah? Okay, what else is next?
Figure 4 arm lock.
Okay, so the figure 4, he throws the punch, I slip, I pass. Here, I'm controlling, so that's my outside vertical gunting, whether I want to finger jab him, whether I want to punch him, whether I want to do the outside vertical gunting and pull him in like that. My setup is smashing that elbow to grab my own wrist. So as I set it up, me heading in that direction, I'm looking at smashing that elbow into his face. That'll take him down. I won't take you down, but I'll spin him down, and then I can do my locks from there. But that's set up from, I could do the inside pass, bang, to the outside. Oh, here. He could be reaching out for me like this, right? He could have my hand in his face, pushing me away. Hey, don't hit my friend, right? Same thing. Why? Because I understand that. Where does my hand need to be? What do I need to bend, right? So whether I'm doing any of this right here, that's a lock right there. I'm getting the grab. I want to get this double wrist grab. So on this side, the figure 4, I have a right-handed grip with a left-handed laced, grabbing my own right. Whereas with the double wrist lock, it's reversed. I got the left-handed grip with the over, my right's grabbing my left. So that gives you manipulation on both sides. So depending on how the attack came, right, whether you were stuck on the inside or you got to the outside, you have an opportunity to get to that lock. Okay? So understanding that's that standing figure 4, this one here, bam, it's probably one of the first ones that I use. And it works good with a knife, works good with a stick, a bat, hammer, screwdriver, right? Yeah, pretty much whatever, they're gonna come assault you with, brick, allows you to just get it out of there, feed it back to them, and lock them up, okay? And it's hard to squeal out of because you've got so much of their extremity laced up within your body. And then obviously 2-on-1 grip is better than a single hand grip, okay?
Straight armbar, elbow, tricep, quad.
Okay, so the straight armbar series is how can we execute this particular move, right? So whether it's an outside pass and I just go straight to the elbow, I can go straight to the elbow, I can use my forearm, right? I can use my shoulder, step over here. I can use my body, right? I can have my arm down or up, right? So put that lock on. So across your body, right? So he's got it. So step forward. So he's looking at pushing my elbow forward with his body and pulling my wrist back because that's where the fulcrum is created, right? So he can also do that with his forearm. That's on the top. So windshield wiper and, yeah, rotate my arm. Yeah. So this pulls down as this pushes forward and up. Yeah. Okay. So the reverse on that is, right? We call that a wipe. So if the guy goes in for it, let's say he gets me, he disarms me, right? And he's going for some kind of the arm bar, right? First thing I want to do is stop him from doing that, then pull, and then I can put it back on him. He does the same thing because this is a rotation drill we can do. Reach under and push. Yeah, push this away like that. Wipe it. Yeah, now you reach down and grab that and put it on again, right? So me being able to do that in multiple ways, keep manipulating that, yeah, allows me to okay? And I'm just feeling which way is he going. Do I have the lock there, right? Okay.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ground stand-up technique.
Do you remember your stand-up technique? Jiu-jitsu, you get knocked on the ground, safe way to get up. Protect yourself. Okay, so I can do that with that there. Okay, so if you find yourself knocked down, you were retreating, whatever, you're on the ground, you're like, oh, I'm on my butt. The key thing is to get to one side, post up on an elbow, post up on your hip. This is your meter to keep away. This is protecting you. So this is the core position. So if they want to throw punches, they want to throw kicks, they want to hit you with stuff, you're going to be protecting your brain, right? You don't want to get clocked in the face and get so sprung that you don't know where you're at. But as they advance, scooting this in, posting up, kicking on them allows you to raise your hips. As I'm doing that, I hit. That allows me to stand up, and then I can start getting back in the game, right? But it's that framework, and you're building basically a triangle, right? So I've got one point there on my hip, my elbow. Right? That's my foot. This is my hip on the backside, my elbow. So the triangles are geometrically and structurally solid. So when we're dealing, I've talked about the female triangle, the male triangle, all that stuff, okay? But managed to get past this point, right? So the way I set it up is I manipulate the face somehow, either rotating the chin, just below the nose, the upper lip, across the eye, and keeping in contact. So some of the key things is once you get the face manipulation, turning your hand and driving this to the low side in this direction. Because some guys are quick at tuck your chin. Yeah, you see how he beat that? So if I'm in there and I lift up, that's better, okay? So ideally, I'm trying to get the V right here across. Sometimes you can't get it, and sometimes there's other things you want to do. In a street position, I want to stay tight. I don't want to be out here because he might use his head, want to do headbutts. So I keep it tight and I keep it down. I might grab his clothes, or I could grab my clothes. If we're struggling, let's say he's trying to reach for my weapon, I need to reposition. Yeah, there we go. See that? So if I'm able to maintain that constant pressure, right? Getting him forward, lifting, my palm grabs my bicep. This pushes down on him, and I want to get it back, ideally forcing his head with the back of my palm. I don't want to do too much, but you know, I can already tell it's yeah, I don't want to put him. When I can feel them swallowing their spit, then I know it's a little snug. So we'll save Ken the pressure of doing that. But yeah, it doesn't matter how you do the enter. I could be exchanging jab cross right here. I feed him right into it. I can get the shark choke. I feel like he's still struggling. I just feed that in there, right? I could do real nasty and cover his mouth so he's not breathing. And then when he goes, and
He's gonna bite your hand.
yeah, well, that's okay. Always go with the direction. Don't try to pull away from the bite because you're going into the force. So it's like a dog when they're attacking you, don't pull away. Shove it all the way in, right? So here I'm looking at choking him. If I'll stick my hand all the way down there because it's going to negate their ability to do that. And if I can manipulate where I can get some edge of my fingernail in their gum, in that soft palate, I'll reach up there and really just grab out their nasal cavity. You know, be yucky, but hey, I want my fingers, right? Okay. So that's from me working from position 0 to the backside. If I'm stuck and he shoots in, I'm not able to do anything. I'm in a crowded place and his head's down. Now I've got same kind of thing. I'm looking at using my hand down, right where the ridge hand is up. Yeah, the blade, right? So there's a couple different ways I can use what Eric Paulson likes to do this, and he calls it the shotgun choke. Yeah, but I like it because it's not only a choke, it's a neck crank, and as I'm pushing down, it's a snapper right there. Yeah, but the front guillotine is me getting the blade, we'll just keep it open so they can see it. Getting the blade of my hand, my wrist up in that throat, cupping it, right? Pressuring my body, pulling him in, pressuring out, lifting up. If he doesn't want to cooperate, pang! And then I get my arch, right? And then I inhale.
Standing guillotine.
Standing front guillotine. Guillotine choke.
Not to the ground.
Well, you could, I mean, if the guy's coming in, I might just catch it. He caught me off guard. He's tackling me. I'm going to do the flying closed guard, full on flying guillotine, wrap it up. If I get an arm in, that can turn into another choke because now you're talking head and arm. Okay. So the other one I believe I have on there is I slipped a punch and parry and I close. So what I'm doing is instead of my arm cutting off the blood flow, it's his arm. And a lot of guys, if they know how to defend it, they'll get on the phone. So act like, yeah, so here. But he's giving me another lock, so that's why it's good to know the chain lock flow. But yeah, the standing one is I try to get that ridge hand, close everything up, bring him in. So I could use my gable grip. I can use S grip. I can use forearm to wrist. I particularly like this one. If I get it in deep enough, then I'll do the figure 4.
420.
Okay, because then I could take him down, slam him on, and really sink it in. But I put out people just on the standing one. Just get that gorilla lock in there, and that's just from just slipping. We're here, yeah, here, because as soon as I slip, I stop this and I start walking that way. So now he's like, oh shit, because his commitment was so intense, you know, they fire way too far than they need to instead of making it within this little pocket, right?
Extending too far.
Yeah, so there's the opportunity for that. So you've got a rear naked choke, you've got the front full-on flying guillotine, and you have a standing arm triangle. Okay, and then keep in mind too, on the arm triangle, a lot of guys, they're trying to wriggle out of it. They'll bend their arm that way, and I turn it into, yeah. If I do get it out and I can get them on, I force it. This turns into me having more control. I might be able to, okay, right? Get into a better tactical position depending on what I'm dealing with, right? So a lot of options there too.
420.
Muay Thai is all after that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll give them the Muay Thai because it's getting late and we don't want to hang too long. But you guys got a good basis of like a lot of the Filipino stuff, the inside, the outside, the overhook, the underhook.
Where we